Okay, hi, welcome to my journey. It is Christmas Day. Me? Um, yeah. Seems like they were parked a little bit too close, but anyway, I am out here to get out for my daily daily ride. Yes, I am. I'm out here for my daily ride. It was hot inside because I did my exercises. Yeah, and it made me hot, and I was like, damn, how hot is it outside if it's hot inside? So far it looks like it's almost 70 degrees out here. Yeah, at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not bad at all, not bad at all. I'm not expecting too many things to be open, not expecting too many people to be out and about. No, I'm not. I am just trying to get out and do my thing. Do my thing. Yeah, just do my thing. Okay? Okay. Because it is Christmas Day. Some places, they closed early Christmas Eve, and they also will be closed Christmas Day. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Right? I think when I was working at nighttime at Amazon, we had like Christmas Eve off, but we had to come in on Christmas, the day after Christmas, because you'd be working through Christmas nighttime shift, something like that. I can't remember. I'm just glad I ain't doing it no more. And I'm glad that the last couple of months went by pretty quick, right? It was hard. It was the last couple of months was really, really hard. And I think some people can concur with me that it was hard. But we got through it. And, looking forward to next year being, a new start, a good start. Yeah. And I believe it's going to be. I do. I believe it's going to be good. And if nothing else, it would definitely be a lot safer. It's like, even if you're like homeless on the streets, at least you will be a lot safer, right? Because if you're doing really bad out there, they're going to come by and pick you up, and they're going to take you someplace for reprogramming. And hopefully you'll accept the reprogramming, and then they'll put you on your feet and send you on your way, and hopefully you won't relapse, right? I mean, what else can you hope for? I can't see you hoping for anything else, except, for them to put you back on your feet and send you on your way. So yeah, the lies are starting to come out, and they're starting to be revealed, right? That women can also be apostles, and women can also be preachers, and women can also have, missions and purposes on life, about life, because the way they got it right now, they got it where women, they're replaceable, they're dismissible, they're demeaning. I mean, they demean women, and it's just like they're just, lost their minds. They really have. They just lost it. They gone too far, and some of them, they, their daddy was a pimp, so they think that all women are supposed to be hoes. It's a sad dysfunctional affair. It's a sad dysfunctional affair. For real. Okay? So and if they do get with the woman that wants to get away from them, he needs to recognize that he needs to let her go. Let her go. Let her go and leave her alone. Don't bother her. And if she got the kids, you're gonna have to work with her and do what you can, to make the kids feel like life is worth living. Right? Because right now, that's what they've been doing. They've been trying to make it seem like, since, she didn't want to risk her life, being with him in his dysfunctional lifestyle, right, of drugging and smoking and alcoholing, and she tried to tell him, says, no, I can't let you do that, I can't let you do that because, you're going to jeopardize us even being able to keep our own kids. Nowadays, if you're drugging, smoking, and doing alcohol around the kids, you can lose your kids, period. Right? And then, they try to make it seem like, well, they'll just have other girlfriends. Nobody wants to go that route either. They don't want to go that route either because why? Biocontamination, period. And that could happen at any level. It could happen at the rash level. It could happen at, body contamination level. It could happen at the STD level. And it's just like, no, it has nothing to do with being insecure. I couldn't even, sometimes I had laughed at so many men's faces when they were talking about, a woman is insecure because they want to leave their cheating man. And I was like, right? And of course, in their arrogance, they thought I was laughing at that woman, right? But I wasn't. I was laughing at them because I'm like, damn, these guys must have, flunked chemistry class. Because they don't understand the biocontamination. They don't even understand the contamination of their own spirit. Casting pearls among swines and stuff and all of that, right? But some of them, you can't tell them anything. They think they know it all. They think if they, dig their heels in, that that's going to be the truth. And that's what a lot of men, feel like they can do, especially if they, combine together and, and then they stay in their own little tribe. And in the past, they used to let them. Like, okay, you're going to have your compound over there and you all ain't going to come out of that compound. No problem. But today, It's like, no, you ain't staying in. How come you ain't staying in your compound? Why you out here driving on our streets that we paid for? Why are you sitting up here thinking that you have the right to play the game with our women when you come outside of your compound? And they don't like that. The men don't like that at all. So, I mean, nobody likes it if their sister or their mama or their daughter, gets used and abused and called a whore. It's like, man, she wouldn't be a whore without your dumb ass. You the one telling her she's a whore. Because you want to pick her up and tell her you love her. You call her up, talk about you love her, let's go for a ride. And you want to buy her something, and then, you want her to give you some, make you feel good. Then you drop her off and call her a whore. Like, what the hell? What's wrong with you? You wasn't supposed to even tell nobody. Now you make people have to fight for her honor. Yeah, you're going to make her have to fight for her honor. You make them have to fight for her honor. You're going to make them fight you for their honor. Dumbass. Effort. They put out now hiring sign, try to see if they can beef up the business. What is that? That says Yoga of Immortals? I am not lying. I'll show you. Caught my attention and made me do a whole U-turn. Temple of Self-Realization. See it? It says, please maintain silence and turn off mobile phones. What? See, that's what happens a lot of times when we cherry pick spirituality. When we cherry pick spirituality, you'll have people like that will come on board, and they'll use some of the spiritual techniques, right? They'll use spiritual techniques in a manipulative way. Okay? And that's sad. That's sad because they're not supposed to do that. But they do it anyway. Right? And the sad part about it is corporate America said, yes, here's a loan. See how many people you can catch. But that's not uncommon, here in the Bible Belt, right? In the Bible Belt, they got a whole bunch of churches. All of them got loans, got nice buildings, got their 501 tax tax accreditation, where they don't have to, they're exempt, right? They can go to the store and they don't get charged taxes. Okay? Right? Some of them, they live on homesteads. They don't get charged no taxes. Right? And I know you're like, well, who's paying for the roads? Who's paying for the buildings? Well, typically it would have been, the gas companies, the car companies, and the property owners. They paid through the city, right? But right now, they kind of get mad because what they did was they thought it was cute to get rid of the middle class. Right? Middle class is a single person making $75,000 a year and above. Right? Or a married couple making $140,000 a year and above. Those are your middle class. Did I say 40? 150 as a couple. Yeah, a couple making 150 because they both should be making an equivalent of $75,000 a year. Right? I mean, yeah, $75,000 a year. He could be making $100,000 and she could be making $50,000. It could go that way too, and they'll still be middle class couple. So, I don't know how this person got behind me. Oh, thank you for turning off the other way. But, yeah. So, 150,000, and a fourth of that, which is 25% tax bracket, a fourth of that will go to your taxes, right? Half of that would go to your house, unless you got a homestead, unless you found some way to to classify yourself as a charity occupant, right? Dang, that store's closed. I mean, out of business closed. Yeah. So, and as the Bible Belt, that means a lot of people are classified as charitable or non-profit type of organizations, period. Okay? That's what that means. So, you can get yourself classified as, a nonprofit business, by doing spiritual work on the internet, whether that's preaching, tarot card reading, I think you can even do classes. I believe you can. Okay? So, it's up to you. It's up to you. And that's what a lot of people who do tarot card readings have done. Is, they'll do their readings and, designate themselves as a spiritualist, get a nonprofit exemption, so now they don't have to pay taxes. Then you can go and get you a piece of land and do a homestead and and maybe spread your nonprofit to teaching people on how to be herbalist or do horticulture. See? Sure what I wanted to talk about today. Just kind of want to ride around and see what's open, see if I can see anybody out here doing things, So far, the only thing I've really seen open is the gas stations. The gas stations. Says it's 76 degrees, so it's warm outside. It's warm out here. It is, and I'm wearing a t-shirt, but it's a red t-shirt. The Christmas spirit red. Complex. I guess this here is some of that affordable housing that they got some financing for. Yeah. Well, luxury apartments, 288 units. Luxury apartments in Box Springs? What? How do you manage that? There's a drive-through wine and whiskey place that's open. I mean wine and beer. drive-through. Haven't seen one of those in a minute. And I mean, if you think about it, and since people have been taught, right, to give at least 10% tithes, right? So if you're paying, let's just say 25 to 30% income tax, and then you're paying 10% tithes, right? That's 40% right there. Now you only have 60% in which to live off of, and also what to save, right? Your insurances, your investments, your savings. So, they made it almost impossible, to to live. Right? Especially when inflation, for each sector of our life is increasing way beyond, what we would get, from a COLA raise or from a cost of living raise at work. And they really thought that it was really cute to start charging people based off of their FICO scores. They thought that was the best thing since sliced bread. Right? So they know who's paying what already based off of your zip code. But then your FICO score, yeah, you're gonna pay more. And that's what they did. And they did that. And they had no problems doing it. And like I said, the biggest that definitely looks like a swap meet. Yeah, bazaar. Swap meet. Yeah, swap meet. I haven't seen a swap meet since I left California. But when they started doing the Airbnb situation and allowing, illegal immigrants to come into the country and, and occupy those spaces, it made the residential area a appreciate way too fast, right? Because now a resident can also be commercial property, right? Every household had the potential of being a B&B, right? So now that made the prices of the homes accelerate, right? Because now even a $100,000 house or a $200,000 house, if they rent out a room, that's income. It could be a loss, but they were targeting a market that would pay more money because they couldn't qualify for a home or a place to stay based off of the criteria that they had set almost as standard, right, across the board. And we're like, how is it possible that they know what the next person is charging and what people will pay? Because it would get people to call for them. That was something that they had me doing when I was assistant manager at an apartment complex. They would have me call around to these various places and ask them, how much is their bedroom? How much is a 1-bedroom? How much is a 2-bedroom? Right? Or how much is their 3-bedroom? What are your specials? Right? And they would have me do that. And they even had me do that when I was the sales manager at the car rental place. Right? They had me calling around, how much is it going to cost me to rent a car? So they were getting the data so that they can charge what other people were charging, or they can charge more than other people were charging if they felt like they were offering a better quality of stuff. Right? And so that's because they were doing that. That to me is why people now want the government to start implementing rent controls. Right? Because like down here, I remember down here in this bad neighborhood, like about 5 miles north of where I'm at right now, is a bad neighborhood. I was so surprised that their apartments, based off of the square footage, was just a little bit bigger, but the prices to rent out, a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom was the same as some of the new developments. And I was like, how is that possible when it's a bad neighborhood? And they're like, well, it's a bad neighborhood. They cost the same amount, but, they're older and you get more square footage. So that's how they were able to get by with, charging the same amount in an older area that, had a lot of crime and was drug infested just about. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, Because to me, I would have thought, that area, would have been charging less, a lot less. Right? And then as the years went on, it seemed like those areas were saying no, they were charging that amount. They had to charge higher, to try to get a better quality of renters in and keep out, bad renters. But that's not what happened. It's not what was happening, because those, hard-working people, don't want to go to these, apartment complexes, where they have music and partying all day and all night. Right? And the place was smelling and stinking like, drugs. And it ain't always parties. Not all parties go well all the time. A lot of times parties end up in fights and police calls and stuff like that, Sometimes, gunshots and shit, So you can't just sit up there and say, oh, well, you don't like the party. No. You just can't guarantee that a party is going to stay being a nice, safe party. A lot of parties end horribly. Something else right there. Oh, it used to be an office building thing. Yeah. Yeah, tore it down and made it a whole warehouse. Right there. I'm in Mexico City right now. No, I'm not. But yeah, they got some lowrider Chevrolets up ahead of me. Two of them. One's a convertible. And they look really good. They look really good. Look at them. I think I'm going to come up on them. What does it say in the back? Says got them old Dallas license plates. They look like Amigos. Yeah, both of them say Amigos in the back. Dallas Amigos. Yeah, Dallas Amigos. Both of them said Dallas Amigos. Yeah. So who knows, maybe this time next year I'll be in Panama. I can drive all the way to Panama. 77 degrees. Dang, it's almost 80 degrees out here. And it's so nice to drive when there's hardly nobody on the streets. And, you know, there's no place for anybody to go because most places are closed. I'm telling you, it's nice. So far, I haven't had nobody, you know, get mad and try to run me off the road. But this will probably be the only day like this. And this is the only day. It wasn't even like this. What? Did I even get out on Thanksgiving? What did I do on Thanksgiving? I'll have to look at my video and see if I went out on Thanksgiving. Because I think I did. I think I did. I can't even find what I can't find my fried rice that I had saved, that I had cooked on Thanksgiving. I was looking for it. I have to look for it again. I made some soup, some beans yesterday, and I was thinking I was gonna have some. I defrosted some meat. I defrosted some catfish. Yeah, I defrosted some catfish. So I'm gonna have some catfish. And I got some lemons and stuff. Some lemons and stuff. So even though part of my mind is like fry it, the other part is saying no, you know, fix it, make it flavorful, and you can still eat it, you know, if you know, get some lemons and coconut and yeah. And I could, definitely. It'll be healthier. I'm still contemplating whether or not I want to fry it up. So Mia Chinese restaurant is open. car that had its own charging station. That was a Kia. Kia had its own charging station. At least that's what they're advertising. That's something that I would like to check out. See what, this have your own charging station means. Ooh, that guy had his bass up so loud and the windows were down. Oh, my body was just bumping, thumping. McDonald's is not open, dude. Nope, McDonald's is not open. I don't even think Sonic's is open. Is not open. Nope. Chick-fil-A is not open. Yeah. So it's rare. It's just rare to have all of these businesses closed. It's rare. Now the smoke shops, the vape shops, they're open. But and the gas stations, they're open. So you can still get whatever, like if you want to pay gas station prices, you can still get what you want, what you need. Because our gas stations are pretty diverse with what you can get food and drinking. You can get a lot at our gas stations. Camp house. I'm wondering, do they allow camping at Dallas Arboretum? That would be something, huh? Camping, allowing people to pitch tents and stuff here. Just make it like a campground. That would be something. But the Dallas Arboretum is closed for Christmas. Out. Damn near 80. A couple people down at the park.